Dr. Chonta Haynes empowers women to confidently live life with peace and financial security. Through her Amazon best-selling books, coaching programs, and keynotes, she equips with biblically based resources. From her experience and degrees in engineering, theology, and Christian counseling, she balances logic and faith. Known as the Performance Excellence Transition Coach and Biblical Money Management Expert, she simplifies complex problems and creates actionable and effective solutions with sustainable results. As CEO and founder of Heart to Heart Truth Ministries and Heart to Heart Truth Foundation, her mission is to help you put feet to your faith so that you can walk victoriously. Born out of compassion for individuals dealing with loss and lack, Heart to Heart Truth Ministries is a source of encouragement and inspiration, helping women find inspiration and community to transition triumphantly and thrive. She believes your heart may be broke, but your bank account doesn't have to be. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Chonta Haynes.
Can you guys hear me? All right. Again, I said sometimes when you hear an introduction, you wonder if that's you, especially if they go through credentials. You're like, did I do all of that? I'm not that old. Right. Well, today we're going to be talking about leadership styles, or I'm going to be talking about leadership styles. And I just give a little bit of background. I did fly in here from Florida. But there was a time when I felt like I was flying in the air without an airplane. You know, the regular turbulence when you're already on the plane. But then there's that time when you don't even feel like you got anything up under you. It's one of those times. We're talking about leadership styles, and I have to recognize, in going back, there was a day I was standing in the office, just promoted to being the minority business administrator, reporting to a vice president. I'm 25 years old at the time, and those that were on the team were twice my age, had been in that position for a long time. I'd been in the company, but they had been in the company even longer than I was born. And I was supposed to be leading them. To say I was nervous, that I was unsure, that I was uncertain, is an understatement, because I was also unprepared. And when we talk about leadership styles, we have to recognize that that will happen in some instances. Now, on the other side of that, there's some, let's say, not so good leadership. And we've all probably experienced that, right? Like many of you, some people may have sabotaged you, mishandled you, abused you, misused you, and they weren't encouraging even though they thought they were, and you had to endure that. So we know both the good as well as the bad in that, and these are all uncomfortable skies. And so that's where we lean. The truth is that you learn from both the good as well as the bad. Those that were manipulative, those that mishandled you, those that discouraged you, you learn from all of that, and I've learned from that as well. So in the course of me going through the leadership that I have done, I recognize that I've led youth. I've even worked at companies where we were building vehicles. I've worked at being the minority business administrator, which I mentioned to you before, as academic operations officer over a Christian university, leading in the church, leading outside of the church, having my own coaching business. And yes, do not try to figure out how old I am. And I know we just finished going through the boomers and the busters and all. Don't try to figure out where I am. Do me that favor, okay? All right, because I'm going to be like Pastor Rodney. I'm kind of young in my own mind. I currently get an opportunity to train coaches as well as some teams. I work for companies. I work for myself as well. And I have the opportunity to teach others how to speak on stages, as well as to run their own businesses and publish their own books. So I've run the gamut from when I was 25 to 26. So, and I do say I empower women, and I specifically say women. I do empower others as well, but particularly my heart is for women, empowering them, whether they're bouncing back after a devastating loss or they're birthing a brand business or best-selling book, something new for us to transition. And leadership is a part of all of that. How do you lead? All right. I will say the biggest role, though, that I've had is to be a mother of three girls at that. And, you know, they have their drama and everything else. My middle daughter did pass away at the age of 10, but I do recognize how important it is to influence others. I also say that I'm an in-the-stands football coach. Now, that's not leadership, but we're going to talk about that a little bit later, too. You guys have to know. Okay, so to that end, the teacher in me has to give some playground rules, right? I am an interactive speaker, if you would. That means I want you to participate. But that does not mean that I want you to take over. I do want you to ask questions, so I'm going to leave time at the end to handle all of that for you. But at the same time, if I ask you a question, I want you to respond. So if I ask you to raise your hand, you raise your hand, right? If I ask you where you are, you tell me where you are. So I'm going to ask for some of that. I do love that, and that is important. So we are talking about leadership. And I'm going to start by asking, getting a temperature of the room, who in here is a leader? Excellent. Everybody raises their hands. And you should, because we all have the ability to lead somewhere. So tell me, just a couple of you, if you would raise your hand and tell me what you are leading. Who are you leading? Yes, sir.
I'm leading a team of diverse men and women from all different age groups, all different intellects to solve problems for nation.
For who?
Solve nation issues.
Okay, so you're working for a company?
Yes, I work for a company.
Okay, so in the marketplace. Someone else? Yes, ma'am. Erica? All right. Now, see, she took everything and put it all into one, because I was going to tell you that. If you are a parent, you're leading your children. If you are working in a company and you're supervising or managing, you should be leading the team that you're over. Well, if you have your own business, you are an entrepreneur, you are leading not only yourself, but you're leading anyone else who is also on your team. So we all lead in some way, shape, or form. But that begs the question, what is leadership? What is leadership? Can someone answer that for me? What is leadership? Exactly. See, we didn't have to go far because you guys already know it. It's at its core, it is all about influence. And as was said today, and I told him he already stole my thunder on that one, is if others are not following you, you're just taking a good long walk. We can influence positively and we can influence negatively. And that's one of the main things that we have to understand, that if you are going to be a leader, the same number of people that you can help is the same number of people that you can hurt. That's a sobering reality, right? We all don't want the bad. But what is ultimately the goal of leadership? What's the goal? Development, okay, that's good. We're developing people, exactly. But it's more than just developing people. We're also leading so that the company is going to be elevated too, right? So it's both the people as well as the company. And that's where sometimes we get it wrong. And we're going to talk about that, those leadership styles. But I'm going to come from two different perspectives today. There's the perspective of the leader, and then there's the perspective of what I call the leadee. I know I made up that word. The one that is being led, okay? All right, so from a leader, it can be good or it can be bad, but we end up affecting other people's lives. That's the important thing that we have to recognize. If I have no influence, again, I'm just taking a good long walk. From my perspective, if I am broke, busted, and disgusted, how can I lead you financially? And I always tell those who come to me for finances, if they are broke, busted, and disgusted, don't follow them. Check their bank account first. Because you can't tell me where I need to go if you haven't gone there. You haven't proven it, right? We talk about that. I did teach stewardship before, and in teaching stewardship, and this is in a ministry situation, and you mentioned that as well earlier, that we have sometimes taken our positions and mishandled people. And now you hear so much about church hurt, when if we have been good leaders, understanding the people, feeling what the people were feeling, not overusing and over-abusing, they would not be in the positions and running away from us like they are today. We talk about stewardship. How do I manage what I do have in my control? It's not just money. It's also the best resource that we have, and that resource is the people who do come. So from the perspective of the leader, we're going to talk about that. What do you do? But then there's also the perspective, the other side, from the one that is being led. Because as a leader, we have to see both sides. We talked about seeing clear, have clear vision. Whether you're red, green, or blue, you've got to be able to see the other side, whether you're a boomer, a buster, a Gen Z, Gen X, Gen Y, and I don't know where they're going after that, double A? What are we're gonna call it? But the key is that we have to understand a little bit better and be willing to see the other side. So I'm just going to give you I'm going to talk about four quick types or styles of leadership. And I put them in the four categories only for simplicity. I'm the simple person. That way you can grab it and you can move, right? And I'm using S's today. We all like this alliteration. So it's the strict leader or the severe leader, or otherwise known as the autocratic leader. Now, we all have probably known somebody like this. It's my way or the highway. They are truly production-oriented. They said, do as I say. When I do that and I am production-focused, I'm looking at the outcome. I want to make sure it gets done, and that's a good thing, right? From a company perspective, that's an excellent thing, but not necessarily from the people perspective, because their number one focus is production. Did we get it done? Did we get the results? Did we make it happen? How does it look on the books? Right? Do as I say. What we find, though, is that's limiting. This strict person, this dictatorial individual, this autocratic leader has limited outcomes. How is it limited? If I am the only one that is telling you exactly what to do and you have to do it my way, I don't allow you to have any creativity whatsoever, then what I get out is what I put in. Because I told you what to do. I told you how to do it. I told you when to do it, the way I wanted you to do it, and that's all you were going to get. Now, I could give you a whole lot. Notice he has this Superman, this S on his chest. Right? Dictatorial. Here's the problem with that emblem. We all need superheroes. We all need somebody we want to look up to. But this person is a legend in his own mind. because he thinks he's got everything on lock. No one can tell him anything. Can't tell him how to do it. Can't tell him where to go. Do I understand this? Oh, yeah. Working as a treasurer for an organization, I understand finances, I understand money, and we had strict responsibilities or things that had to be done, turned in a certain time. You know, you had to go to the bank within 3 days, that kind of thing. You got to make sure it's going to be right because you don't play with somebody's money. Yes? And when I ran for that office, my motto was, I don't go to jail for nobody. And I meant that thing. You are not going to have me up because I embezzled any funds. That was not going to be my lot. And you are not going to say that I mismanaged it. However, the leader at the time, the president of the organization, was not adept when it came to finances, but this was this hard taskmaster, this I'm going to micromanage, I want to tell you what to do, and I'm going to put you in your place. Now, sometimes it comes with the insecurities. So, again, we have to know the person's background, their past. We have to see where they are. But I recognize this is not how I wanted to lead. And I recognize the limitations that were there. All right, let's see if it's switching on me. Nope, it came back. Oh, I think I went the wrong way. All right, so here's what I say. A title does not make you a leader. Remember when we talked earlier about authority versus leadership? Just because you have a title doesn't make you a leader. Remember, at the core, leadership is influence. You can have a title and somebody can be compliant. Think about it as a parent. You tell little Johnny, go clean up your room. And they huff and they puff and they go and they're throwing things around. And the closet is full of the toys. Or they're under the bed. They did what you said, but they didn't do it with the right spirit. Right? So just because you have the title does not make you a leader. So you end up with this unappreciative, mean boss. All right? Very demanding, personality issues, insecurities, maybe some jealousies, maybe some competitiveness. When you don't know a specific area, a good leader is going to find someone who does know more in that area and give them room to lead, to do what they need to do. That's what a good leader is going to do. So that just kind of goes against what this unappreciative boss is doing. The second one is a supermarket or transactional leader. They still get the results. They're still production focused, but I say they are also people considered. They're going to consider the person. Typically, we call this person a taskmaster. Why are they a taskmaster? Because they're going to give you a to-do list on top of a to-do list. And if it didn't get done tomorrow, it's going to be there. But they're going to have this long list for you to get done. They're going to consider you because if you say, well, you know what? It's a lot on my plate. Yeah, you're right. Okay, let's move it till tomorrow for you for that. But I still need these things done today. Right? So they are going to consider. Usually this person, though, is one that is going to use or abuse those that are responsible. Why? Because the responsible person is going to get it done. Right? So if I give it to them, I can make sure the production is going to come out. But I will tell you, in some instances, this is still not the very best. Why? If you don't have a enable, like that strict person that says, okay, David, I took care of your man, but I'm not going to give you anything, and you're not asking me for much. You don't have that mean girl, that unappreciative boss. But in this case, you have a Pharaoh. I understand the value you bring to me. I'm going to give you the list of things that I need done, but I'm going to turn around and say, I need the production. So, if you leave me, I got to go get you. Because if I don't go get you, then this will not get done. So I'm considering you in one instance, but at the same time, my profit, my bottom line is what is really driving me. And you know, what do I need to do? Let's transact some business. Let's figure out how we can manipulate this. I might not be able to buy you, but maybe I can rent you for a moment because I got to get over this hump until I can find somebody else I can use. Right? Now, when I tell you these things, I've lived these things. I had an opportunity, and we didn't go through background, but I have a PhD in theology, one of the degrees. I tell my clients, I say, I don't quite have as many degrees as a thermometer, but I'm getting close. I'm the avid learner. That's my personality. I'm a perpetual student. I love learning because if you continue to build your skills, you're going to continue to go further. One of my mentors, Howard Hendricks, who's no longer with us, he said, if you stop learning today, you stop teaching effectively tomorrow. And as a teacher, I wanted to always be on the cutting edge. I didn't want it old and cold. You know, you like the hot now signs with the Krispy Kreme donuts. I don't know. You guys have Krispy Kreme here? When the hot now sign is out, that's when you want to go get it. All of a sudden, you have a taste for it. But if it's cold and, I can take it or leave it. I don't want it, right? So that was me. Well, as I was going to get my PhD, and you had to work your way up through it, bachelor's, master's, and PhD in theology, I had met all the requirements. But my boss at the time, my pastor at the time, happened to be sitting on the board as the academic dean for this other university. And in his mind as the leader, he wanted me to learn more. So in his mind, he told the president of the university, don't give her that degree because I want her to take more classes. How do you think that made me feel? Yeah. No way. I remember the day when I got that phone call. It was raining outside. It was dark in my house. And I'm sitting there going, how can you be leading me and you're denying me what I rightfully earned or tried to? Let me put that caveat, tried to. Because, see, the president had to say, well, you met all of the requirements. Turn in the dissertation and we can move forward, which is what I did. Now, what I did after that fact is I took more classes and I kept taking classes. And he had to recognize that, hey, I tried to encourage you to do this in a way that was not appropriate, mishandling. I was trying to make a transaction. I wanted you to get this done for me so that we would have something better, because I ended up working as the academic dean or academic operations officer at his university. And he wanted more transactional. So when we're leading, we're influencing, we have to know, I'm going to talk about this too, the people. Everybody's temperament is not the same. And you have to know how to handle them. Because if we're going to be a really good leader, our ultimate goal is not just for the company. Remember, the goal is also for the people. So this is that hard taskmaster, and I would jokingly say, oh, you're a hard taskmaster. I would tell him to his face, because we've developed a relationship like that afterwards. But I can bring it up today, say, you still remember that? You're absolutely right. That cut me to the core. It could have stopped me, but that's not my personality. But somebody else it would have. Again, I go back to the same number of people you can help or the same number of people you can hurt. And you don't want to do that. All right. So an overabundance of a workload. not being able to say no, or sometimes when you speak up, this is the representation for this particular person. If you speak up, sometimes they take away from you the thing that you really like doing and give you the menial tasks, or the ones that you didn't want to do that they know nobody else is going to do. And then you're still not really being heard. And that leader is not leading and influencing you in the right way. All right. My third one, sidekick. The Democratic leader. Everybody knows this one. They are primarily people focused. Can't we all just get along? I want to be your friend. That's all I want to be. I want to be your friend. I want to be your counselor. I want to be connected to you. We're going to love each other. Let me encourage you. It's all about being people focused. You know the one. The supervisor or manager that comes and sits in your office, puts their feet up on the chair and starts talking to you, and they really just want to know all about your personal business. We're not talking business here. We're not talking work. They're not looking at the production. There's no outcome coming out of it. They just want to be your friend. You know, we'll go hang out together. I had a boss like that too. And she would come in. This was way back in the day. Okay, I forgot. I'm just 36. We were way back in the day. Did I age myself? I think I was 34 before. Okay, I'm 36 now. She would put her feet up on the desk. This was back when one of the things that I had an opportunity to do working in Florida, I worked at a utility company, my first job out. So before I became the minority business administrator, I was the rate load research analyst. And I don't know if they have it here in Oklahoma, but we have what we call rate load research, where the power company can turn off certain appliances at your home if the load is too high. So like in Florida, you know, when we're having like brownouts and we're having hurricanes and things like that coming through, if you've got a pool or if you've got a heater or something like that, they can turn it down and you get a rate cut because of it. Well, I did that research to figure out which appliances were going to be the right ones. That's how long ago it's been. But this boss would come in and she would put her feet up and she would want to talk about, well, how was your weekend? And I'm like, I'm trying to get the work done. But now when a deadline comes, this type of boss is now hurry up, let's get it done. But you didn't take the time. You didn't give the person ample opportunity to get it right. And I'm the person, I want excellence when I give it to you. It needs to be right as possible, not necessarily perfection, but as right as possible. You can't play and then turn around and crack the whip. Okay, for our parents, don't we do that? Let's go out, let's have fun. But you didn't get your chores done. Now you got to be up till 2 o'clock in the morning washing dishes. Right? Sidekick. People focus. But we said for being a good leader, we have to consider the people, right? Remember that goal. It's not only the company, but it's also the people. What happens with the sidekick is that everyone has fun, but the outcomes plummet. The company doesn't produce. They don't make as many sales. You don't get to where you need to go in a timely fashion. You don't reach the highest level that you possibly could because you were too busy trying to be everybody's friend. Connecting alone does not make you a leader. It's important, but it does not make you a leader. So if I'm a friend to everyone in business, notice how he's just sitting there chewing it up. We're having a great time. I did what the people said, Aaron. They told me they wanted this. You were gone too long, Moses. I need to be a friend. But where we really want to go is to be this last S, which is the servant leader or the transformational leader. Now, let me ask you, what is similar between a servant leader and the sidekick? It's the care, it's the people focus, it's the relationship, right? What's similar between the strict leader or the supermarket leader and this servant leader is that they're company focused, production focused, results oriented. So it's the best of both worlds. Jesus, I can handle the people. I know how to speak to them where they are, whether they're red, green, or blue. I know how to speak to them and make sure that they're going to come on board, but I'm going to get results too because I'm about my Father's business. Didn't you know? They're passionate. Yeah, that's that red. They're passionate. They're also inspirational. They're going to encourage you and inspire you to be the best version of you at the same time that they're doing the same thing for the company. They're going to be influential because, see, they're not just taking a good long walk. They're having you follow them. And why are you following them? Because they inspired you. Why are you following them? Because they're passionate about what they're doing, but they're trying to make sure that you are taken care of along the way. They're not leaving you out. They get an opportunity to coach you and say, well, yeah, you did great here, but let me ask you another question. Can I open a door that you never did open? And now that we've unlocked that and you start doing some self-reflection, you are going to come back better than you were before. They're also going to be the one that's going to guide you. Because they're not trying to be the hero, they're trying to let you be that hero in your world. Right? Why would you get out of the boat and walk on water? Because he said, come. He gave me the hope that it was right there in front of me and it was available, and a good leader is going to do that. So when we talk about these 4 styles, we want to be that servant leader. So let me tell you a little bit about this one. Teamwork does make the dream work. You can't do it by yourself, right? Because we have to go against the grain of that strict leader, do it my way or the highway. You can't just do that. As program engineer for a small car, J car we used to call it back in 2000, I had the opportunity to work not only with the designers of the vehicle, but the manufacturing plant had to work in tandem with it, and engineering as well. Now, I didn't say that a few years before when I was out on the plant floor, that the plant manager would come to me because I said, no, we got a warranty problem, and I know you don't want to have a recall, but hello, ABS is going to fail for some of these cars. I got a problem. I'm looking out for the people that are driving the car, but I'm also looking out for the company now. The company doesn't want the recall. But I was respected because I said, no, there's a problem here. Do we need to bring in some people to refit this before they go out the door? Let's do it that way. The best of both worlds. So when I get to being the program engineer for this 2000 J car, the engineering department, my previous supervisor says, well, you remember that problem with the warranty? We're fixing it. Oh, but I thought we didn't have a problem. Right? Because some people want to cover it and put it up under the rug. Well, it doesn't happen that way. So you as a leader, if you're going to influence, your character counts and your capability counts. All right? So teamwork does make the dream work, but they got to know that they're on your team. So when you get the best outcomes for both the people and the company, just as in that situation, that's a servant leader. When others follow you and you're not just taking a good long walk, they turn around and they say, I'm going to come to you because I don't think my grades are right here. Where should I go? What should be my next class? What do you see as a vision for me? Because I'm thinking that you understand my gift set, and I want you to lead and guide me. Can you coach me here? They're following you. That's a servant leader. People don't want to know how much you know until they know how much you care. That's another one that I picked up. In my company, Heart to Heart Truth Ministries, I said, people don't want to learn head-to-head knowledge, true knowledge. True change is not going to come head-to-head. It's going to come heart to heart. When you know how much I care about you, that I really want to see you move forward and be the best version of you, then you're willing to hear what I have to say. That's a servant leader, because I'm looking out not only for the company, but I'm looking out for you as the individual. Okay? And then the last one, you don't go as far as your dream. You go as far as your team. Okay? For a time, you have to do it by yourself. Only for a season. But as we talked about it earlier, you have to be willing to sacrifice. Put in the time to train someone else to do what you have been doing in the past, and then give them room to be creative so that they can take it to that next level, or you will end up like the Blockbuster. And you don't want to go out of business. You want to know your true mission, your true why. Okay. So, I want you to think about this for me. Because we've all had these experiences. I want you to get it in your mind. Who was the leader that encouraged you to do more, to be better, to excel? That person should come to mind. Who was the one that inspired you to achieve more? Could be the same person, could be a different person. And they wanted you to be the best version of yourself. Who supported you and promoted you? Who referred you to a higher position and who also modeled excellence for you? That's a great leader. That's someone you want to emulate. That's someone you're willing to follow. And some of those traits that they gave to you, or they showed you, they modeled for you, are the same ones that I'm encouraging you to model for someone else. So those are the 4 styles, but that was not all of my responsibility today, or the way I saw my responsibility today. Because see, this person is going to call on you and ask you to participate. They're going to say, your opinion matters. I need to hear what you have to say. So even if we have a bucket in the back that you can put your suggestions in, and I'm going to pay attention to it, that helps. I need to hear. I need my finger on the pulse of the congregation, or the finger on the pulse of the company. I need to find out where you are. I get an opportunity to be a coaching manager for other coaches, and they came to me and they said, well, we don't like the way this is being done right now. We don't think we're being paid enough for what we're putting in. And I happen to have the ear of the president of the company, and I said, look, I'm going to escalate this. I'm going to take it up because they have a valid point. And I'm so glad that he was a servant leader to turn around and say, let's make some changes then. And they turned around and called me and said, thank you, because I felt like I was heard. You get an opportunity to be that person. Even if you're in between, it doesn't matter. They see you because you see them. He also say, we're in this together. If you're going to be a great leader, they have to feel like you're in it with them. You're not standing over here on the side going, okay, I'm just watching because, I got my pay. You might not have yours. No, we're in this together. Because when you do a good job, we do a good job, we all elevate. Now, are there some good things of that? Because, yeah, you see both sides. But I'm going to talk about 5 traits of a great leader, great servant leader. And this is where I really want you to lean in. And I minimized it to 5, again, so that we can handle it for simplicity, right? But I want you to think about these or figure out what you need to work on, all right? The first one is relational intelligence. It's my connection to people. Can I see both sides? How do I relate to you? How do you perceive that relationship? I'm not going to just be your friend, but you also should know that my goal is for you to be better than where you are today. But I'm willing to take a no that you don't want to grow if you are satisfied with being mediocre or average or right where you are. But when you're ready, you know you can come to me, right? I just lost my mother the end of January. She was my biggest supporter, and I miss her dearly. But I had to think about that. She was my greatest supporter. Read every one of the books that I wrote. She was my editor. I'm going to miss that. But then the question is going to come, who do you have in your circle now that can do the same thing? Who are you being that person for? And not just your children. Because you should. I'm just going to make that assumption that you are for your children. And I know that's not a great assumption in many cases, but it should be. So if it's not, okay, let's go ahead and check that one off. You're going to be the biggest supporter for them. 2 questions. How are you relating to them, the people that you're leading, on a scale of 1 to 10? How are you relating to them? How do you see yourself in relating to them, your relational intelligence with them? And then secondly, how do they see you if they had to give you that same rating? Right? Relational intelligence. Are you encouraging participation? Are you motivating them to achieve? The second one, communication. How are you communicating with others? Are you paying attention to where they are? Are you identifying what generation they're in? And in that generation, are you speaking their language? Because messaging is important. How are you perceiving? I'll go back to the red, green, and blue, and I think I might be a yellow or something. I'm mixing it up in the middle of all of that. But how are you communicating to them? Do they understand what you're asking them to do so that they can give you the results that you're looking for? And is it reasonable? What about timing? Did you give it to them last minute, or did you give them sufficient time to make sure that they can do a great job? Did we tell them to clean up their room, putting all the toys in the right place, making sure that their clothes were folded, and those that were dirty were put in the hamper? Or did we just say, go clean your room? It kind of reminds me, now this is not on my slide, but my middle daughter, Jasmine, she was so fun-loving, right? She was a great communicator with people if she liked you. If she didn't, she just didn't deal with you, right? But I remember us going to the neurologist's office, and the neurologist said, Jasmine, show me your nose. And she said, cheese, and she was just smiling. And I'm going, Jasmine, you know where your nose is, right? Jasmine, show me your nose. She was showing him her nose. We get outside the room. I said, Jasmine, I know you know where your nose is. Point to your nose. That's not what he asked. Communication, right? So when you are looking at being a great leader, communicate well. You have to communicate well. Let me see. I think I had some other questions I wanted to ask. Do the recipients understand what you requested, and is it reasonable? Next one is emotional intelligence. Are you present and aware of your emotions, and are you present and aware of theirs? You have to, again, see both sides. What's their body language looking like, and what is it telling you? What about the facial expressions? Now, I told you guys that I was a in-the-stands football coach, right? My original degree is in electrical engineering from Georgia Institute of Technology. And our arch rivals is the University of Georgia. It's a big game every single year. Now, my cousins and all of them, they went to University of Georgia, so I have to hold my own during that time. We got a new head coach this last year. This is the Georgia Tech game. Our arch rivals. Passion, red, flowing, like, you know, we gonna engineer a win in this, right? First quarter. Plenty of time on the clock. First quarter. I don't know how many football fans. I have football fans in the house? All right. I'm going to ask you a question. First quarter, we're within the 10-yard line. It is third down. Question, do you kick a field goal or do you go for it? You say go for it, right? He kicks a field goal. I'm looking at the TV. My kids think I'm crazy. I'm looking at the TV like, what in the world? And they interviewed him afterwards, and they said, well, why did at halftime, why did you kick the field goal instead of going for it? Oh, we have a plan, and we're going to stick to the plan. My thing was, we need a new plan. And I preached about we need a new plan. Jeremiah 29:11 says, God knows the plans he has. That was the wrong plan. Because what do you do as a leader when you tell the person, we're going to go for something less right now? Early in the game, you kill morale. I don't think we won that game. But did they play 110% after that? Probably not, because what he said to them was, I don't believe in you as a team. Not this early on in the game. Now, if it was the fourth quarter, and, yeah, you might, if we were close, if we were winning, that might be okay. But we needed a new plan. Am I not right? I told you I was in the stands coach. All right. Emotional intelligence. Know where they are, know where you are. Be present in the moment. We've got to work with the goals. Be an active listener. Not just a listener, but an active listener. You don't respond or wait. You're listening to respond. You're listening to understand and to truly hear them. Hear their heart. Hear where they are. Hear what they want. Hear what their desires are. So those are some of the questions. Who does the most talking? We have 2 ears and 1 mouth. Yes? Designed by a reason. We're supposed to be slow to speak, quick to hear. We can't understand the generations if we're not listening to them. And they look so much different than how we grew up. But if you're actively listening, then you can be people-focused, right? You're listening to comprehend, and you're also listening to follow up. Don't just leave it. If you tell someone you're going to follow up or you heard them, do something about it, all right? A good leader is going to follow up, follow through. Even if you have to come back and say, well, we can't do that right now. You followed up. They know you heard them. Everyone wants to be seen, heard, and appreciated. Okay? Last one, strategic thinking. critical thinking, right? You have to be a visionary. We talked about that. What do I see for the company? How can I optimize it? How can I automate it? What, if I'm looking ahead, needs to improve so that the company improves? What needs to change? When I look at it from their perspective, from the people focus, what then are their strengths? How can I help them do it better? What are their dreams? What are their desires? Remember, I have to look at it from both sides. So your reflection is, at this juncture, oh, I forgot one more. Looking ahead, and then you have to also be adaptable. That means change is going to happen. Changing in the people, changing in the guard that might be over you, changing in the world and the culture, changing all over. Even with our kids, we switch from telling them what to do to guiding them. All right? So here's my reflection for you. What trait or traits do you need to work on to be more effective? And I'm going to ask you to commit to 2 of them. 2 of the 5. Not all of them, but 2 of the 5. Which 2 traits do you need to work on in order for you to be more effective? It doesn't mean that you're not already effective in that area, but you're identifying 2 that you want to work on. Now, here is where the coach in me comes out, because I need you to make a powerful decision. I don't want to just say it to you and you go, okay, well, no problem. And you never write down those 2, and you never say those 2, and you never act upon those 2. You never do anything different with those 2. Right now, you see it, proceed you doing it, and it coming to fruition. So I'm going to need a couple volunteers to raise your hand and tell me which 2 traits you are going to work on. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Strategic thinking. Okay. Excellent. So she's already identified. Now let me ask you this. How are you going to work on that? Okay. And consider looking at both sides then? Okay. From a different perspective. Love it. Can I get another volunteer? Yes, ma'am. Active listening. Now, that's a hard one sometimes because you're so willing, oh, yeah, but I got the answer already. And if you just shut up for a moment. No, active listening. I absolutely love it. I think we all could use the active listening a little bit more. That curiosity in seeing what does this other person think will help you, not only for you to go further, but for them too as well. All right? Anybody else just got a burning desire that you want to just tell me which 2 traits you're going to work on? Because everybody right now just told me 1, but that's okay. Yes, ma'am. Erica. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm. Than they want for themselves. Right. I love that. Now, how are you going to implement that? Mhm. That's a good. Thank you. sometimes we need to just lock it up, right? Or I will say in active listening, another suggestion would be ask better questions and continue asking them questions to get to the root. You can get to a why. Well, why are you doing that? Well, who told you that? How is that going to benefit you? That's active listening. Remember? All right. So for me, that's what I wanted you to get out of this, and I pray that you did get something out of this. So today, one of the things that I do in many instances is I have an opportunity to work with others one-on-one. And I'm not saying everybody in this audience is going to be that person. But if that is you and you want to do a vision breakthrough strategy session with me, it's a 45-minute session where I get an opportunity to give you a blueprint so that you can be a better leader. That means that you are going to not only improve, but you're going to have those ideas of where you're going to go, what you need to do differently so that you can be a better version of you, and you can also lead others to be that better version of you. All right? So I just offer you that. You can go to my website, ChontaHaynes.com. You can go there even if you're not doing the Vision Breakthrough Strategy session, because I've got a lot of free things that are there as well. So those things are available to you. Now, remember I told you I was flying in the air without an airplane? Well, I'm going to tell you, my plane is landed. Yours will too. I believe the sky's the limit, and the benefits are out of this world. Thank you.
Let's give it up for Dr. Chonta Haynes one more time. Does anybody feel challenged? She made you sound like she backed some of y'all into a corner and made you make a decision today. That's what leadership is all about. I also think that you're worth it. If you want to grow as a leader, you have to sacrifice. You have to invest in yourself. And I believe in that.